Hamjamboni and welcome to another episode of Random Wednesday. And in today's presentation, we are going to be reviewing some of the grammatical concepts that we have covered and showing you how you can use them practically. So I hope you find this session enlightening and I am excited to see what you think. So the first concept we're going to be reviewing is the conditional tense would. So I would like. Do you remember how to say that? The verb for like is penda. So how would you say that? Did you say ningependa? Okay, ningependa. So what would we like to do? Let us move on. So here we have a sentence to tell them. Obviously, it's not a complete sentence, but how would you say it? How do you indicate to on a Swahili verb? Do you remember? Do you remember how to indicate the infinitive form of a verb? It always starts with ku. Okay? So, how would you say to tell them? Did you say kuwaambia? Why am I saying kuwaambia? So this two, we know it stands for the two. And then wa is for the object, them. Again, this is why the object infixes are very important to learn, because it helps you convey your thought. And then I simply affixed ambia. So let us go back to our sentence. Now that we know how to make those two thoughts, how do you think we would say, I would like to tell them? I would like to tell them. Give you a few seconds to think about it. And okay, so we have our sentence here. Ningependa kuwaambia. It feels like we're missing something. We need a second thought. What are we telling them? And who are we telling this to? So that is what we're going to be developing today. Let us start creating our story. Ningependa kuwaambia. But before we move on, I'd like to teach you something. Do you know how to say that? Remember, this is a different that from the demonstrative, because this is what usually happens. People mix that and that for demonstrative, which is different, and that what we're looking for right now, So I would like, so we say kwamba. Okay, so this that varies according to the noun class, like hilo, hicho, huyo. So all these are forms of demonstratives that vary according to the noun class. If you still struggle with noun classes, I invite you to take Swahili 101. We cover those things in depth. But for now, what we really need is that. Okay, I would like to tell them that the word that will be necessary there would be kwamba. Okay, and then he all right, so this Monday, was it this Monday or last Monday? I can't really remember. We talked about negation. I think that was last Grammar Monday. We talked about negation. Do you remember how to negate in the future? He will not. How would we say that? First, let us see if we can say it in the affirmative form. So, a for he, ta for future, and then kuja for come. Do you remember how to negate that? We simply said we add the ha, ta, kuja. That's how you negate the third person, he or she. If you want to learn how to do that, please refer to last week's Grammar Monday and see how you do. So he will not come today. Hata kuja leo. Okay, so let us see if we can work on the entire sentence. I would like to tell them that he will not come today. I would like to tell them he will not come today. I'll give you a few seconds to work on that and tell me what you think. Did you say Ningependa kuwaambia kwamba hatakuja leo. Ningependa kuwaambia kwamba hatakuja leo. So here's the thing. If you have a complicated thought to convey, what you need to do first is break down the phrase or sentence into single thoughts. So see, we started by saying I would like. So we created that. And then kuambia. I don't know if you remember this from our previous lessons, but I said usually you just need to conjugate the first verb in a thought and then you leave the second verb in its infinitive form only if it belongs to the same thought. So for instance, ningependa kuambia, I would like to tell them, this is part of one thought, okay? So we conjugate the first and then we leave the second one in its infinitive form. And what is an infinitive form? It usually starts with ku. In English, to, okay? And then kwamba, that's the conjunction, hatakuja leo. And because this is a second thought in that sentence, then again, we get to conjugate it, okay? Let us continue building on this sentence. So before we proceed, in Swahili, we say because by using a phrase, kwa sababu. So kwa is for, and then sababu is reason. Kwa sababu. Okay, that is how we say because. And then to have, the verb to have is kuwa na. However, when we are using it within a verb, we have to consider whether it's in the present tense, past tense, etc. All right. But because we are working in the present tense and we're talking about he or she, it's simply going to be ana. All right. If it was I, it would have been Nina. If it was you, it would have been una. Again, this is about subject prefixes. So you simply attach the subject prefix for the personal pronouns to the na. Okay. So let us continue building our sentence and see if we can create a whole thought. So your friend here is telling you why he's not going to come. So he will not come because he has guests. How do you think we're going to work with this? He will not come. We had already created that verb, so hatakuja. And then how do we say because? Kwa sababu. And then how do we say he has? The subject prefix for he or she is a, and then we said to show possession, we simply add na. What's the word for guests? Wageni. Okay, so he will not come because he has guests. Hatakuja kwa sababu ana wageni. Does that make sense? So here's the key is to learn the key phrases that you can use like because, and then learning grammatical concepts like possession, etc, etc, and it's just going to make your life much easier. But I am suspecting most of you already know this, so this is a review. So let us try to do the whole phrase. Okay, so here is our complete thought. I would like to tell them that he will not come today. He will not come because he has guests. So up to this point, we've been breaking down those thoughts. I wonder if you are able to tell me how that sentence would go in Swahili. We've just covered it, so that should make it a little easy for you. Give you 1 second or two. So your entire sentence will read like this. Ningependa kuambia kwamba hatakuja leo. Hatakuja kwa sababu ana wageni. So the new things that we learned today, kwamba, that is that, which is different from the demonstrative that. And then we also learned how to use because, kwa sababu, which you no doubt already know. And then we also learned how to do possessive for from subject prefix he or she, which is a. All right, so we could change this sentence into whatever we want it to be. So for instance, if we wanted to say, they would like to tell us that they will not come today. They won't come because they have guests. Let us see how that would look like. Okay, so I've changed a few things. So for instance, because we're talking about us, we would like to tell them I change that into to. The tense stayed the same, and then the objects remain the same because we are still talking about them. And then negation, I simply added to negate we will not come, and then we will not come because instead of saying because it's us, I said to. So that is why it's very important to learn these little concepts, because once you have them down, you can pretty much write whatever sentence you want. So I hope you found that exercise confidence building, and if not, it just shows you where you need to work. As usual, I am always here to answer any questions that you need, and I am sorry I went over 10 minutes. I really meant to keep it under 10 minutes today. I will see you in the next one.